Ladies and gentlemen, in a world obsessed with instant gratification and loud declarations, the quiet worker often goes unnoticed. But make no mistake, the real achievers, the true legends, are those who dedicate themselves to their goals in silence and let their success make the noise. This speech is not about flashy promises or dramatic announcements. It's about the silent power of consistent, relentless effort. In a world filled with noise, where everyone wants to be seen and heard instantly, the true strength of a person is often found in the quiet moments of effort that go unnoticed. Working hard in silence doesn't mean a lack of ambition. It means channeling your energy where it matters most. Instead of spending time announcing your intentions, you dedicate yourself fully to the process. You rise early, stay up late, and focus on the grind without seeking the spotlight. It is in these solitary hours, away from praise or attention, that real transformation begins to take place. The strength to stay consistent without applause is a rare trait that defines the truly determined. Silent effort builds mental resilience. When you are not distracted by external opinions or the need for validation, you become more centered and stable. You begin to trust your path more, knowing that every small step you take, no matter how invisible it may seem, is a brick laid in the foundation of your success. The world may not notice your early sacrifices or the countless hours spent in practice, but your quiet perseverance builds something more powerful than recognition. It builds character. This internal strength becomes your greatest asset, especially when challenges arise and others begin to fall away. People often believe that working in silence equates to passivity or weakness, but in reality it reflects great inner strength and emotional control. It takes immense self-restraint to stay focused when others are flaunting their progress. It takes courage to keep going, even when no one is watching. By choosing to remain quiet, you are not ignoring your progress. You are respecting the journey. You allow your actions to become your voice. You trust the process enough to know that eventually your hard work will be impossible to ignore. You trust the process enough, but their impact becomes undeniable over time. Furthermore, silent, consistent efforts sharpens your purpose. When you're not constantly talking about what you're going to do, you have more mental clarity to actually do it. You gain the ability to reflect deeply, refine your goals, and improve your strategy. The fewer distractions you have, the more efficient your execution becomes. Every day, even if you're making just a little progress, you're moving forward. That motion, however slow, is fueled by determination. And determination built in silence becomes a lifelong force, unyielding, patient, and powerful. Success is not something that needs to be shouted from the rooftops. It is best understood through the quiet presence of results. In today's culture, where people feel compelled to broadcast every minor achievement, there is a quiet dignity in letting your accomplishments do the talking. True success doesn't need constant validation or public approval. When you genuinely achieve something meaningful, the results naturally command respect. People take notice, not because you told them to, but because your work proves it beyond question. It's not the person who talks the most who gets ahead. It's the one whose actions are undeniable. When you allow your success to speak for itself, you avoid the trap of empty promises. Talking about what you will do is easy. Following through and delivering results is where the challenge lies. Many begin with bold statements and grand declarations, but only a few have the discipline to follow through until the end. By staying silent and focused, you avoid premature celebration and concentrate on making real progress. And when success finally arrives, it carries far more weight because it isn't clouded by unnecessary noise. It becomes something real, something earned, something that doesn't need an explanation. There is something powerful about someone who moves silently, keeps building, and suddenly arrives with impact. It's a force that demands attention, not because it was sought, but because it was inevitable. Success born out of consistency and quiet effort shines brighter than success that's constantly flaunted. People begin to ask how it happened, and when they learn the truth, that it came from tireless, focused work, it inspires far more deeply than any speech could. It shows that hard work, even when unnoticed, eventually commands its moment in the light. Moreover, letting your success speak builds credibility and respect. People may not always remember what you say, but they never forget what you accomplish. Words can be exaggerated, manipulated, or misunderstood, but results are clear and undeniable. Moreover, letting your success be built without making noise becomes someone others look up to. You gain influence not because you do, but because you are. Because you are sup. That kind of success cannot be faked, and it sets a standard for others to follow. Discipline is one of the most powerful tools in achieving success, and it often grows best in environments free from distractions and noise. When you choose to work in silence, you eliminate many of the external influences that can disrupt your routine. Social approval, peer pressure, and constant comparison can easily break your focus if you're always looking outward. But silence shields you from that noise, allowing you to develop a personal rhythm. In this space, discipline becomes a habit rather than a chore. You stop relying on motivation and start depending on routine, structure, and commitment to keep going. In silence, you learn to listen to yourself and recognize your true goals without interference. When no one else is watching, you become your own guide and critic. This inward focus helps discipline become internalized. You no longer need others to push or praise you. You begin to hold yourself accountable. Every decision becomes intentional, from how you spend your time to how you react to challenges. This kind of quiet self-governance creates deep-rooted discipline that lasts longer than any external motivation. It becomes part of your identity rather than just a temporary state. Moreover, silence strengthens your ability to delay gratification, a core aspect of discipline. You stop chasing immediate rewards and learn to be patient. When you're not constantly updating others or seeking attention, it's easier to focus on long-term growth. You begin to embrace the grind, the routine, and the repetition that most people avoid. You understand that progress doesn't always feel exciting. It often feels quiet, repetitive, and slow. But you trust the process because discipline teaches you that consistency beats intensity, and silence keeps you aligned with that truth every day. Finally, a silent approach allows for mental clarity and reflection, both of which are essential for discipline to thrive. When your mind isn't cluttered with noise or the opinions of others, you can think deeply and make decisions with purpose. You can evaluate what's working, what needs change, and where your energy should be invested. Silence creates the space for disciplined thinking, which eventually results in disciplined action. And over time, those actions build momentum. You begin to see the effects of your silent discipline, not just in your productivity, but in your mindset, your character, and your ability to achieve difficult goals. Growth, by its very nature, is often invisible in the early stages. Much like a seed planted in the soil, there is an essential period where all the development is happening beneath the surface, hidden from the outside world. During this time, the seed establishes roots, anchoring itself and gathering strength to eventually break through the soil. In our lives, this unseen period mirrors the effort we put into building habits, gaining skills, and developing resilience. From the outside, it may appear as though nothing is changing, but internally, tremendous progress is taking place. This stage is crucial even though no one applauds it, because without it, no visible achievement would ever emerge. Many people grow discouraged when they don't see immediate results in a world obsessed with quick outcomes and overnight success stories. It's easy to doubt yourself when your hard work isn't recognized right away. But true growth takes time, and its earliest signs often manifest subtly in the way you think, the way you react to failure, or how you manage your time. These internal changes are not visible to others, and sometimes not even to yourself. But they are laying the foundation for everything that follows. Patience becomes a key virtue during this period, because without it, you might give up before your breakthrough ever happens. The challenge lies in trusting the process even when progress is not apparent. It takes courage and faith to keep going when there is no applause, no encouragement, and no visible payoff. But this quiet phase is when your character is shaped. You learn discipline, build endurance, and develop emotional strength. Every mistake you learn from, every moment of persistence, every repetition of a small task adds to your growth. Even when it feels like you are standing still, you are in fact moving forward. The lack of immediate results does not mean lack of improvement. It just means the roots are still growing. Eventually, there comes a moment when the growth that was once hidden becomes undeniable. Just as the seed finally breaks through the soil and begins to rise into the light, your progress starts to show. People begin to take notice, often amazed at your sudden transformation, unaware of the silent struggle and effort it took to get there. What looks like overnight success is actually the result of long, quiet preparation. That's the truth about growth. It is slow, steady, and often invisible, but when it finally surfaces, it speaks of strength, patience, and dedication that only the truly committed understand. In a fast-paced world filled with constant chatter, notifications, and noise, silence becomes a rare and powerful tool. Choosing to remain silent allows you to conserve your energy, redirecting it toward what truly matters. When you're not spending time explaining your plans, defending your decisions, or announcing your progress, you create more room to think, act, and execute. Silence is not the absence of action. It is the space in which action gains direction. Energy that would otherwise be drained by distractions and external opinions is instead used to fuel your inner drive and productivity. You are no longer giving away pieces of your focus. You are preserving them for your mission. Focus is a fragile resource, easily scattered by unnecessary communication and social noise. The more you talk about what you are going to do, the more likely you are to get caught up in the illusion of progress rather than actual progress. By staying silent, you eliminate the need to explain yourself or justify your journey to others. You block out the pressure to perform publicly and concentrate entirely on the task at hand. This sharp focus allows for deeper thinking, more efficient execution, and smarter decision-making. It gives you clarity, which in turn enhances your ability to take meaningful, well-sorted steps toward your goals. Silence also helps filter out external influences that can easily distort your vision. In a noisy environment, it's tempting to compare your path to others, to second-guess your choices, or to try to meet someone else's expectations. But when you deliberately choose silence, you build a mental space where your own voice is the loudest. You start to understand what really drives you, what your priorities are, and where your time and effort should go. This heightened focus becomes your edge. You are no longer reacting to the noise around you. You are acting with clear intent and controlled energy. Moreover, silent focus allows you to protect your mental and emotional energy. Engaging in unnecessary conversations or defending your plans drains you more than you realize. Every opinion you entertain, every explanation you offer, chips away at your concentration. Silence gives you the power to remain centered and grounded. You are putting in the work, step by step, without breaking your flow. This sustained focus, born in silence, becomes a force of unstoppable progress. In today's social culture, it often seems like the ones who talk the most, post the most, or make the boldest claims are the ones on top. But the truth is, volume does not equal value. The loudest voices aren't always the most successful. They are simply the most heard. Real success isn't built on noise. It's built on depth, discipline, and quiet consistency. Many people use noise as a mask, overcompensating for the lack of real progress. They talk about big goals, flaunt flashy ideas, and create the illusion of success before they've even put in the work. True achievers don't need to broadcast every move. They're too busy making their moves count. Success built on substance rarely needs to shout. The most accomplished individuals are often those who let their results speak for themselves. They don't chase attention or seek constant validation because they know where they are going. Their self-worth isn't tied to how many people notice them. It's tied to how well they perform, improve, and endure. While others are caught in a cycle of overexposure, these silent workers are making progress quietly. And when they do emerge, they do so with real accomplishments that stand the test of time, not temporary hype that fades with the next trend. There is a danger in being too focused on being seen rather than being good. The desire to appear successful can lead to shortcuts, superficial effort, or chasing trends instead of building mastery. Loud voices may gain attention quickly, but they rarely maintain it without substance behind them. In contrast, those who build quietly, brick by brick, may not gain recognition immediately, but their foundation is solid. Their growth may be gradual, but it is also sustainable. They are not dependent on attention. They are dependent on discipline. That is what creates longevity in any field, whether it's business, art, education, or personal development. Moreover, humility plays a central role in this dynamic. The quiet ones often understand that there is always more to learn, more to improve, and more to build. They aren't busy trying to impress others. They're busy trying to outdo their past selves. They respect the process and understand the weight of silence. Loud voices may grab the spotlight, but it's often the quiet ones who carry the show behind the scenes. They may not always be visible in the moment, but over time their legacy becomes undeniable, not because they told the world who they were, but because the world saw what they became through focused, tireless effort. A legacy is not built by words. It is built by consistent actions that leave a lasting impact long after you're gone. When you allow your work to be the voice that speaks for you, it carries more weight than any declaration ever could. People may forget what you said or how loudly you said it, but they will remember what you created, what you solved, and how you showed up every day with purpose. Your work becomes your story. It becomes the evidence of your determination, creativity, sacrifice, and commitment. Over time, it is your work that shapes how the world sees you, not your claims or opinions. When you focus on building rather than boasting, you naturally accumulate respect and credibility. Others begin to take notice, not because you demand attention, but because your results force them to. Letting your work speak is not a sign of modesty alone. It's a sign of confidence and control. It shows that you believe in your path and are willing to trust the process without the need for constant validation. This quiet confidence inspires others. It tells them that you value quality over recognition, growth over applause, and meaning over noise. Eventually, people will look to you not for what you said, but for what you accomplished. Moreover, your legacy is often defined by how you made others feel through the things you did, not what you promised to do. Whether you're an artist, a teacher, an entrepreneur, or a student, the value of your work lies in its ability to solve problems, uplift others, or make a difference in someone's life. Each effort, no matter how small, adds to the footprint you leave behind. The quiet mornings you spent perfecting your craft, the late nights you gave to your vision, and the obstacles you overcame in silence, these all become part of your legacy. They form the invisible chapters of your story that others will one day read with admiration. The most respected legacies are never rushed or artificially created. They are the result of years of hard work, quiet discipline, and unwavering dedication to a purpose greater than self-promotion. You don't need to tell people how great you are. Your work will show it. It will echo in the minds of those you impacted, in the results you left behind, and in the example you set. By focusing on your craft instead of your image, you build something that endures. The noise fades, the trends shift, but your work, if done with passion and purpose, remains as a lasting reminder of who you were and what you stood for. So as you move forward in your journey, remember this simple truth. You don't need to shout to be heard, and you don't need to announce every step to prove you're moving. Let your focus be your strength. Let your silence be your discipline, and let your results speak on your behalf. Work hard in the shadows, build quietly with intention, and trust that your time will come. Because when your work finally speaks, it will echo louder than any words ever could. And that is the mark of true success.